What would Lethal Company look like if it was realistic? It's something that people have been wondering about ever since the game blew up, with tons of fan reimagining of the iconic monsters and characters, to even animations. That being said though, no one's actually tried to make a realistic version of the game itself. And so, I'm gonna be using Unreal Engine 5 to create Lethal Company with realistic lighting and environments, remade monsters and character models, and many more. Now for starters, I've made a plan for us to use in order to make this game from start to finish. As you can see, there's a bunch of to-do lists that we need to complete. Let's start with the first list. Okay, so the first step is to make a project. Simple enough. I'll choose the first person template. And we're done. Next up, we got the first person mechanic. Well, I guess that's done as well now. Okay, moving on. Now this next step is where we start the program. You see in Unreal, for programming, you use something called a blueprint. Blueprint is a node graph system where you basically connect nodes of logic into one another to create a system that can run any part of your game. Now after looking at some tutorials on YouTube, I managed to create this item system for our character to use. Now when we start the game, there will be an item on the ground, and if I then press E, I can pick it up. If I then press G, the block will fall. With all the basic stuff out of the way, we can now move on to the modeling. Here, we're going to model 3 items and the flashlight, 4 rooms, the player model, and 1 monster. I wonder what I would make. For the items, I decided to make the clown horn, robot, and a V-type engine. These items are modeled in Blender and then textured in Substance Painter. Keeping the themes of realism, I make sure to make them according to real-life references, down to the exact details. Details such as wear and rust for the metal, and scratches in the clown horn will be very important to make them look real. Same for the flashlight, I just modeled it based on a real-life flashlight. For the rooms, I start off by creating the textures and models that are going to be used. For some of the textures, I do grab them from sites such as Quixel Megascan and Polyhaven, which are places that let you take in free assets to import into your project. As for the modeling, I created some doors, ceiling fans, lamps, railings, and some other stuff. This was by far the most time-consuming and stressful thing that I needed to do for this project. Not only do I need to make so many objects, but I also need to make very advanced material system for them. This is especially troubling since trying to learn anything somewhat advanced in Unreal is such a hassle since there isn't a lot of good tutorials out there. Options are either A, shitty tutorials that give you the wrong information, or B, a 30 to 40 minute video of some guy yapping around whilst only giving you 2 minutes of anything useful. Oh, and did I mention how much Unreal crashes? Seriously, it's been very frustrating to make this. Now before I can fully show you the environment, I need to create some other stuff first, like the room generation system. For now though, let's move on to the character. The first thing I did for the character was I modeled parts like a helmet and gas tank in Blender. Then I used a program called Marvelous Designer to basically simulate the suit, creating parts of the suit like straps, pocket bags and so on, and then stitching them up together. This created a more realistic result in less time. Once the suit is finished, I put it in ZBrush to tidy it all up. When that's finished, I then do what is called a retopology, which if you don't know, is when you take a 3D model with a huge number of polygons and then make a simpler version of it with less polygon to be used in your final project. Then I move on to the texturing. I bake the textures, give the suit some details, make it a little bit rough, give the helmet some scratch details, dirty up the suit in the arms and boots area, and then give it some stitching. There you go, that's the character. About the design itself, the suit is actually based on spacesuits from NASA and Doctor Who. You can see that on the gloves and neck area. Another thing is the gas tank and mask design that are borrowed from firefighter gears. All that put together with some dodgy tapes and messy straps makes the character look like he works for a company that doesn't really care about his safety. Especially from monsters. Making the coil head was actually a lot more straightforward than the character, since I don't need to do fancy stuff like suit simulation, just modeling and texturing. The modeling itself is also quite simple, with me just modifying an already existing 3D model of a character. Then I also animate some of the animation for it. I also made a coiled version of the player model to be used when the coil head kills him. Design-wise, it's also very simple. Just a dirty mannequin with nails all over his body and a long coil neck. But yeah, that's the coil head. With all the modeling done, we can now move to the meat of this project. That is the room generation. Now if you search around YouTube, you may find videos like this and similar ones. In those videos, they use a room generation technique where you basically place rooms in random positions and then connect them up using pathfinding algorithms. However, I don't think Lethal Company actually used any complex algorithm like this. I think Lethal Company uses a simpler system where rooms are spawned branching out of the main entrance. I think this is the case because if you look at the mansion facility, you'll notice that the door always faces the main entrance. Now, I say simple, but it's actually a lot more complicated than it looks. The big problem with this is that rooms in Lethal Company aren't all the same sizes. Some of them are 1 square block, whilst others are 2 or more. This is an issue because trying to fit all the rooms without having them overlap is a lot harder when the rooms are different sizes. So how do we go about doing this? So before I get into the steps of generating the map, I need to explain to you that rooms are divided into cells of square blocks. They also have connection points. These are points where the rooms are going to connect with each other and also where the doors will sit. Okay, now for the steps. Step 1. Choose a room to spawn. When choosing what room to spawn, I use a probability system where each room category have different chances to be spawned. The probability is also determined by what room is going to connect to it. So for example, hallways are more likely to spawn more hallways next to them. The system is how hallways labyrinths are made, or at least that's how I made them. Step 2. Choose the branch or connection point from the room to use. Step 3. Rotate and position the room according to the connection point. So if I choose a connection point here, and I want to connect it to that room and that connection point over there, I would first rotate the room to make the connection point between the room and the target room line up. Then, I position the room so that the square block or grid cell that has the connection point on it be placed on the side of the target block. Now if there's an overlap happening, the system will basically try out all the other connection points until it gets the one that doesn't overlap. If all the other connection points still ends in an overlap, then the room will just delete itself. Do this 20 or 30 more times and you'll get yourself a fully generated map. And now, this is still an oversimplification of what the actual system really is. In reality, there's way more process to this and way more math. Alright, so now that that's done, we can now see what we've made. You can see a bunch of items scattered on the ground, and if I scan it, you can also see their stats. I can of course pick them up as well. So we got the flashlight, then we also have the robot. Of course we also have the other items. Also, I want to give a shout out to Octahedron and his AAA Game Feel tutorial series for teaching me how to make this smooth walk and run animation. I mean, look how smooth it is. Yeah, without this tutorial series, it would have taken me like months to figure out how to do this, as opposed to just a day. And now I've also spawned the coil head, so he should be somewhere around here. Right. Alright guys, so now that the game's in a somewhat playable state, let's try to do some rounds in it. You know, see how it goes. Just start. Alright, so I'm just gonna take every item I get and then place it right in front of the door, just so we can get them out easier later on. Now we have to make it quick before the quill head starts spawning in. Oh fuck! See that? No shit, we're stuck. Well, just come here. Oh fuck! He closed the door. Now I don't actually remember how many items there's supposed to be. I know I'm the one who made the system, but like, I forgot how many items am I supposed to get. So, you know, let's just move around until we find something. Oh, look, it's the storage room. This is where all the items are gonna be found. Or most of it, at least. As you can see as well, there's a fire exit door. Oh, fuck. Whoop. Let's try again. Right. Let's get our flashlight again. Oh fuck. Let's lock ourselves. Okay. Hey look, it's a fire exit. We can also, you know, I'll try to go to the front door with the fire exit. Okay. This part is still empty, so let's just go to the main entrance again. But guys, one thing I want to mention with this game's... Oh fuck no. I was gonna mention about the game's performance. You know, it may not look that good to you, but you have to keep in mind, I'm running this on a GTX 1050 Ti, a laptop. Yeah, I know. It's crazy, right? And so, relatively speaking, this game kind of runs quite well, I think. Now, if you can just... Alright, let's lock him in. Oh, it's a toy robot. Okay, let's put it outside. Also, this can't work as well. Okay, I don't... Oh no. There's two of them. Oh, there's some unexposed stuff over here. But we also got two cool head up our ass. So... Ayo. Back up. Alright. You know, with the amount of time I spent trying to develop these guys in the engine, I thought that at this point I'll be immune to them and not be scared, but fuck man, they're still scary as hell. Maybe we did already explore everything and... Back up. Maybe we did already explore everything, and so... And that's it. I don't know. Good. Oh shit. Oh my, not again. You know what? Yeah, that's it. Okay, so yeah, that was a quick playthrough of the game, but we're not done. Yet. The last thing we need to do is the outside environment. The outside environment itself is going to be based on the first Lethal Company map experimentation, although very loosely. The creation process for this is a bit chaotic. I started off by creating the landscape and shaping it a little bit, but then afterwards I basically just do anything to create the environment without any proper steps. This is my first time ever trying to create a landscape environment, so I have no idea what I'm doing. Just basically following any tutorials out there on YouTube. I just do things until it looks like a proper environment, whether that be painting the landscapes, adding decals, or adjusting the assets that place. This process was also quite rushed. We didn't get to fully capture the design of the map from the OG game, and this whole environment was made just so the player wouldn't walk into an empty field after walking outside the facility, and not really a place for them to explore. That being said though, I still tried to make this look as good as possible. Now that the environment is done, the player will now start spawning in from outside the facility. With this, I also added in an endgame where you can see how many items you got in the round and what the total value of them by jumping off to your death. Yeah, I really ran out of ideas with this one. Now guys, I know there's still a lot of stuff to do, but unfortunately, we have to cut this short. I know, it's a bit anticlimactic, but this project has already been taking long enough. It's been about 7 months since I started this project, and taking more months to fully complete it is just not an option anymore. It's quite a shame since I already made some progress for the next steps. Like, I already modeled a thumper and landmines. I also made the ghost girl character, although that was before the project started. So I don't know, maybe I'll make a part 2 to this if this gets popular enough. Although if I ended up actually making a part 2, I have to make it clear that this is just a demo to see what Lethal Company would look like in a realistic art style, and not a product to replace the OG game. So don't ask me to add a company building or multiplayer, okay? But anyway, that's Realistic Company for you. A demonstration of Lethal Company using the Unreal Engine. You can try it out by supporting me on Patreon if you're interested. I tried to make this game as replayable as possible. There's a lot of options to customize your experience of the round. Like you can set how many rooms are going to be in the map, how many items are going to be there as well, and also what the map seed is. And you can also set the difficulty. I made this difficulty mode where you basically have coil heads spawning every hour, and so maybe try that, see if you can beat it. But yeah, that's about it. See ya!